Homestead Studios in Santa Clarita, California, it's just the Tip-Sters with Melissa Morgan.
Holla!
Piling the hors d'oeuvre tray with another delectable Murdertizer, featuring a Golden State Killer update and another edition of Tip-Sters 2 Cents. Remember, if you've got a tip for Melissa, call the Tipster hotline at 832-TIPSTER. That's 832-847-7837. Or send Melissa an email to jttipsters@gmail.com. You just might hear your tip on the podcast. And now here's your host. The ice machine has been fixed, and the refrigerator repairman just bought a new car with the tip she gave him, Melissa Morgan.
More cowbell. I felt like he deserved a tip. Don't you, Producer Mark?
Oh, I do. I just was trying to point out how happy you are now.
Yeah, we've been without ice for 5 days.
Yeah, it's been pretty bad.
It was my tour of duty of Vietnam.
It's been pretty awful.
I have PTSD.
PTSD?
I do.
That's a little extreme, don't you think?
It's not, no.
Yeah.
It's 110.
Yes.
And we were living off of a bag of ice we had procured for a party at our home, God knows how long ago.
Yeah, back when it was the wintertime.
Mm-hmm.
You had a lot of that icky kind of frosty shit. That
sure
was
did.
Yeah. Not good ice.
It was pounded down into what I guess you could make like a slushy out of.
Yeah.
So yeah, Edward from All Valley Appliance, you're God among men, and you rectified what the other person I won't name, who should never be allowed to touch appliances again, tried to fix on Saturdays and did nothing.
He was a very sweaty...
Don't say it.
He was a very... No, I was going to say, very sweaty young man.
Not young.
I don't know. He was probably in his...
Mid-hundreds?
Probably. No. He was probably in his early 30s, late 20s.
No, he was not. Not the same guy I saw.
Yeah, he was not. Anyway, he was kind of sweaty and didn't do a real...
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
No,
he was not. Yeah.
So, yeah, it's a good thing to have ice again.
All Valley Appliance. Hey, All Valley Appliance, would you like to sponsor us?
I don't think so.
No?
I don't think so. But they're, they don't, I don't know that they sponsor True Crime Podcast, but I am eternally grateful for being able to press a button in my refrigerator and have ice again when it's 110.
Agreed.
And it doesn't have to be slushy ice.
No, that's true.
So, it's a little bit of a mishmash Murdertizer. As you mentioned in the introduction, we'll do a Golden State Killer update regarding the wonderful 2-hour special event on Oxygen, which if you had told me that Oxygen would do a good job, I would have went. But they actually did a great job, and it was pretty interesting in a lot of rehashing, but still interesting in my mind, some of the things that did come out. But before we get to that, we'll have... a little bit of Tipsters 2 Cents email corner, but I want to dedicate this Murdertizer to a beautiful soul we lost last week, Rose Deckermingian, and she is the mother of my beloved friend, Lisa Deckermingian Buyer. And Rose was, no matter when someone passes away, unless, they're 200 years old, it's always too soon. And Rose was a beautiful woman inside and out, and she encompassed her name. She was like a rose. She was beautiful and soft like rose petals, and she smelled delicious all the time, which I found out from her other beautiful daughter, Tina. It was the perfume Opium. Tina said that she sometimes would take her mom's robe and sleep with that and cuddle up with it because it smelled like her mom. And I totally understand that.
Oh, that's really sweet.
It's the sweetest thing. I still have a T-shirt that my mom slept in, and my mom died in 1992, and she wore Estee Lauder Beautiful. And everything that smelled like her, I tried to keep, because every time you could smell Estee Lauder Beautiful, it was, oh, my mom's here. And I'm sure that's how Tina and Lisa feel about Opium perfume. And Rose was a beautiful feminine woman, but like a rose, she had thorns. And if you messed with one of her beloveds, she would rain a world of hurt down on you. And even if you were one of her beloveds and you were on the end of a thorn, you would accept it. And then pretty soon you'd go back to recognizing how beautiful this rose was. So we all need a rose in our lives. And if you don't have a rose, try to be a rose to somebody who needs you, and hug your loved ones and tell them you love them. Even if you're mad at them or even if they're mad at you, it's just a good thing to let the people that you know and love, let them know that you love them. So I just wanted to dedicate this episode to Rose because she was something else. She was really something special. So as far as Tip-Sters 2 cents, we have been dipping our toe in the swag department, and we have ordered some magnets and stickers and tumblers with our logo on them, and having issues finding a reputable company who doesn't just fuck everything up to a fare thee well.
It's really been difficult.
It's hard. The only I will say, and no one's paying for these, just so you know, Sticker Mule, a wonderful company, fast, efficient, doesn't cause you trouble. If you have your logo ready, you can get stickers and magnets for a great price, and they give you a date that they're going to send them, and they typically come a week earlier. They've been a joy to deal with,
and it's easy to upload the graphics there.
Exactly,
they're very good.
Yeah, they don't ask for things that if you'd have to be like some sort of a astronaut to be able to figure out. Some of the other companies are more difficult to deal with.
One of them was in particular very strange,
extremely.
And we won't even tell you about the one that screwed up the order. And when we told them they screwed up the order, they said, "Okay, we'll
give you 0.5% off of your next order."
We won't redo
we
order.
Admit we totally printed the wrong color.
Right. We won't redo it for you.
No.
Yeah, why would we do that?
No, but the next time you order, we'll give you here's a dime. Don't spend it all in one place, sucker.
Right. Not even enough to cover the sales tax.
Yeah, basically the sales tax was all. It was just, so, still trying to find a better company to process some swag, but we do have some items that we're sending out to Tip-Sters, if I can wheedle their addresses out of them. So that's always fun.
And we need to start figuring out how to give away some of the swag with maybe some contests or something. The Brain Trust is working on that.
Yeah. Hopefully the Brain Trust, i.e. producer Mark, is working on contests like name your favorite murderer. And if I agree, I'll send you a tumbler.
Okay. Yeah. No, not
that. Okay.
And by the way, I think the Brain Trust is you, darling.
Oh no, that's you're the Brain Trust. I'm barely functional. So, regarding the swag, Tipster Richard in Cincinnati sent me probably my favorite response. Although I've gotten some really sweet messages back. People are very sweet and grateful that we're sending him stuff. But Tipster Richard, I feel like he gets me. He might be, one of my soulmates. He said, "Thanks for the swag. Now I can relax with a cocktail while listening to the podcast and contemplating murder."
Sounds like a sweet guy.
That's my boy. That is my boy. So, yeah, Richard understands why you would want a 24-ounce tumbler with a straw and a screw-off lid so that you could have a cocktail and listen to a podcast and contemplate all the people. I'm just kidding.
Yeah, they are great for the kind of cocktails that require straws.
Yeah, and ice. Yep. I'm all about the ice. Sorry, we're working on getting something for people who like hot drinks, but I don't know who you people are.
If we could send you ice from our newly repaired ice machine,
we would.
We would do
but
that.
It would not. It wouldn't work out because it's 110 here. By the time it got to the mailbox, I'd have just a box of water. So yeah, that's probably not going to happen. Get your own goddamn ice. We'll send you something to put it in, but get your own goddamn ice. So this isn't actually an email. It's producer Mark has caused a disturbance in the force with his errant urinating and a lovely review.
Oh no, we're not
on iTunes.
Oh jeez.
Her name. I'm gonna guess I know where she's from. I'm gonna call her Minnie because her screen name for the review is Minnie Soda. So I'm gonna guess she's from Minnesota, or maybe she just enjoys that state or that name, but she wrote a lovely review of the podcast, which if you would like to review us, we would be very happy on iTunes. The other streaming services apparently don't offer reviews. And if you like the podcast, please feel free to rate and review on iTunes. And if you do not like the podcast, please remember the name of this is called My Favorite Murder. So Minnesota.
Oh, no, she didn't.
Oh, yes, she did. So Minnesota, basically a magnificent, concise review, said how much she loves the podcast. And I love that people, at least she called you Mark. We've had people call you producer Paul, which I will take responsibility for because I can't shut my pie hole about Detective Paul Holes. So I think people think that he actually works for me, which would be great. But it's nice that producer Mark is here.
Yeah, you can have him produce this show.
Oh my gosh, what dream.
Ah, okay.
Dream.
Taxi.
No, you know what would happen? If he produced the show, it would be like seeing how the sausage is made. It's so much better knowing he's a retired detective. He did an amazing job. He worked for 20-something years on this case. He was a nerdy scientist who became a police officer so that he could solve the case. I mean, I just prefer to keep him in my highest esteem as opposed to like producer Paul. I don't like the way this microphone sounds. Producer Paul, could I have another cherry hint water? You know, all the things I make you do.
Uh-huh.
Okay. So anyway, she didn't even call you producer Mark. She called you Mark. I love that. It's like she knows you. And she said, I was telling my husband about Mark peeing in the yard, and he said he did that too. And she said, I was like, I never knew that. And what is with these guys? And that's one reason why I love Minnie soda.
But you see, I was right.
About what?
Guys go out and pee in the yard.
First of all, I do not remember you saying anything about other people peeing in the yard but yourself.
Okay,
Here's what I think
find
happened.
A replay.
Yeah, you find that clip.
I'm going to find a replay.
You find that clip.
Okay.
What I know that happened was you did not seem shocked when your surgeon said he peed in his yard when he took his dog out. And you were like, yeah, I pee in the yard. And I was like, what the fuck is wrong with both of you? I am horrified. And you have both gone down dramatically in my esteem. So apparently I just didn't know.
It.
I do? I love the fact that you pee in the yard?
I know you do.
I don't.
Secretly you do.
I know. That is very wrong.
Shh. You love it.
I know. I do not. I am a consumer. I do not care if you flush the toilet 100 times to pee. I am a big fan of quilted northern toilet paper for girls who pee. And my beloved BFF Angela and I were discussing this just today on the phone, that neither of us girls could do that, nor would we ever want to. I believe Angela said she likes to be mere steps away from plumbing, indoor plumbing. I know myself during long road trips when I was a much younger person, if we had to stop, and when I say we, I don't mean me and you, I mean me and anyone else. I don't think I've ever peed out in the outdoors since I've met you, with good reason, because it's gross and disgusting. But if I've had to stop as a youngster, on the side of the road, and it's like, oh, just pee, behind the car or whatever, I apparently am just like a wild pisser. Like I don't want to take one leg out of my pants.
I'm just sitting here cracking up. You're kidding me.
No, I'm not, and I'm not done. So I don't want to take one leg out of my pants so that I don't pee on my own clothing. I have several times attempted to pee out of doors, pulling the pants up so that I can squat and pee, and apparently my pee is just wildly erratic. I end up peeing on my own clothing and my own hand. None of it is any good ever, and I just won't do it again. I won't do it. I'll piss in my pants before I try to pee out of doors like a dude would.
Well, I think that's a good thing, but again, may I point out the difference in the male
anatomy.
And female anatomy?
No, I get it. You've got like a tool to aim things at. I get it. That's the same.
It can make things very clean and efficient.
Yeah, good for you. You still have to hold your fucking cock, and you're not washing your hands. So let's not even go there, germaphobe. I can't even believe this is a thing. I am. All men have disappointed me at this point. I've gotten so many. Tipster Trey told me he pees in his backyard. Now these are people who have more, rural areas where they don't have a neighbor right up against them, and maybe no one's going to see it. I don't care. I don't care. I just think it's frightening.
Obviously you did not spend enough time around boys, and that's fine.
And
that's
that is
good.
a good thing.
And because
I spend way too much time around boys now.
God forbid we should start talking about sword fights.
Oh no, please no.
We won't.
Look, I'm tired and I can't. Please don't tell me you tried to shoot flies off the wall with your urine.
No. Oh, that's gross.
Okay. I'm glad there's a line drawn somewhere, pisser. I can't even. So, okay,
now stuff that's in the toilet bowl.
Oh, God. Okay. I'm making a left turn. I'm not discussing. No.
So anyway, Minnesota, thank you.
Yeah. Good on you, Minnie. And thank you for your beautiful review. That was beautiful and wonderful. And we are married to, fucking pigs. That's all I'm going to say. We're both married to fucking pigs. Got that, Producer Mark?
She loves it.
I don't. I do not. I am very proud of our backyard. I love our herb garden and our flowers. And the fact that you are soiling them is horrifying.
I would never do that in anything that we eat.
Okay.
I would not the herb garden, not the tomatoes, not the garlic, not the other stuff.
No. Okay.
Never,
okay.
ever.
All right. So this is a true crime podcast. I'm going to redirect you back to this is a true crime podcast.
Okay.
This is not toilet training for grown ass men. This is not what that's about.
I don't know. Maybe we get some sponsors if we did that. But
what depends. What? I don't even...
No, it's like a self-help thing. But
you need help. That is true. You need a lot of help. All right, so if you had the opportunity to go to the bathroom and then watch this great show, Bathroom That Flushes, this wonderful, wonderful show on the Oxygen Network, entitled, kind of a shitty title, but Golden State Killer : and that is 2 dots above each other and below each other. That has nothing to do with digestive system. Golden State Killer : main suspect. And the original air date was Saturday, August 4th, which was Producer Mark's birthday. And I thought it was well done. I thought the journalist...
Oh, I did too.
Yeah, I thought Stephanie Zosk did a wonderful job. And while there was a lot of rehashing, if you are familiar with the case at all, it really felt... It felt like they were still taking fresh eyes and looking at it, and they did have some I wouldn't necessarily call it explosive interviews, but I would say maybe it's because it's the Oxygen Network and it's a little, I wouldn't call it loosey-goosey either, but it definitely felt not so strident and tight. It felt well done, but it also felt more humanistic.
It did. It didn't seem as scripted.
Yeah, it didn't feel as scripted, and it felt more, I'm just talking to humans who were involved in this, A, as investigators, B, as co-workers with Joseph James D'Angelo, the main suspect, and C, people who worked or came into contact with him on a daily basis because they worked in a environment where you had to interact with the public. So I think we'll intro it with this first clip that I think is a pretty good way to start it. Producer Mark, can you hit that?
The Golden State Killer, believed to be responsible for a dozen brutal murders and possibly more than 100 burglaries and 50 rapes across California. At large for more than 40 years.
Is there any doubt in your mind that Joe D'Angelo is the Golden State Killer?
There's no doubt whatsoever.
So that was Stephanie Zosk speaking with my beloved, hopefully soon-to-be producer, Detective Paul Holes, retired Detective Paul Holes. He's looking for a new gig. And I would be really excited if he were wanting to produce the show. And he probably wouldn't pee in my backyard. So
I bet he would.
Yeah, no, I don't think so. I don't.
He just wouldn't tell you.
I'm not even sure if Detective Paul Holes, has a bladder and a urethra. I think he's probably just sort of magical, and he probably takes care of all of his functions like some other way that no one would ever know about.
Just magically?
Yeah, maybe. So, obviously, Detective Holes has no doubt whatsoever. He, is a man of science, and even if he didn't have a steamer trunk filled with information about and evidence about Joseph James DeAngelo, he has the nail in the steamer trunk to nail it shut, which is DNA, and that was his forte, and he really made that happen by using a public website for genealogy buffs, which that'll be another whole episode. So I'm grateful that this man is still alive, and he is adorable and just tells it like it is, and I adore him. And he's one of the original detectives who worked on the entire East Area Rapist, original Night Stalker, and now Golden State Killer case, and that is Richard Shelby, and I love him very much. If you could hit clip number 2.
Instead of making a quick getaway, the East Area Rapist would take his time. For 2, sometimes 3 hours, he lingered in the house.
It's a long time, isn't
Yeah,
it?
he'd been there a long time. One victim, he walked by and he kept clipping the scissors in her face, just trying to taunt her. He's just a mean bastard.
And one of the reasons I wanted to include Detective Richard Shelby is because he curses, and I feel like almost every step of the way with this case, there needs to be curse words. And I feel like that the absence of curse words doesn't even convey the true horror. I think he was actually probably being kind when he was pulling his punches when he said he's just a mean bastard, because that's a type of, that's torture. That's torture. If someone is bound and blindfolded and gagged, and you're waiting to listen to every step they take and every move they make to make sure they're gone, and he walks by and clips scissors in front of her face, threatening to stab her with them, and that's just like torture. And so, yeah, he's just a mean bastard is actually a great description, and probably pretty kind. And Richard Shelby is an amazing, badass. So we know little dribs and drabs keep coming out about his behavior, and his behavior is bizarre at best. One of the interviews was with a waitress at Charlie's Cafe, one of the places that he ate breakfast quite often and lunch, I guess. And his order was a tuna sandwich with extra onions and no cheese. And one of the days, a sandwich was delivered to his table, and the waitress came back and found clumps of cheese all over the table and said, "What is this mess?" And he said, "I said no cheese. What are you trying to do? Kill me?" Now, I know a lot of people with dairy allergies, mostly having to do with digestive issues. I don't know of anyone who dies from having cheese on their, tuna sandwich. I really don't know.
Does seem a little extreme.
I think, what are you trying to do? Kill me? Kind of ironic, since he has a list of what we know of, probably 13 people now, and there are more. We will find that out toward the end here. So yeah, having someone try to kill him with cheese would be, I think, a way too nice of a way for him to go. Even if it was anaphylactic shock and his throat closed, and I just don't think that's going to happen. I think he'd probably just end up with a bad case of the shits, which, is just not, that's not enough for him, unless he ended up shitting out like a lung, and then I'd be very happy if that happened. But another server, that was actually the woman that owns Charlie's Cafe. The other server, who I guess was one of the regular servers who waited on him, they had a nickname for him. They called him Mr. Happy, because he was such a charming fellow and was always in such a great mood. See, the name is ironic because he's not happy at all. She apparently pulled at her pants one day, apparently they were a little loose. And he said, "What's the matter? You can't keep your pants up? You can't afford a belt?" And she was like, "Oh, no, whatever. I forgot it this morning. You pass it off because you're working and you're working with the public and you're still trying to get a tip, even though it's Mr. Happy who takes his cheese and throws it on the table." And he came back the next week with a bag from Hot Topic, which is teenage goth store. You can probably find all of the T-shirts you want that say The Cure, The Smiths, probably large close-ups of Morrissey's face, Skinny Puppy, that kind of stuff. You could find all of that stuff at Hot Topic.
Oh, and a lot of young girls to look at too.
Yeah. Oh gosh, I hadn't even thought that. That's the kind of thing that a guy that pees in the yard would think of. So yeah, probably looking for a bunch of young girls at Hot Topic. I was actually surprised that Joseph D'Angelo knew where Hot Topic was, which means he had to comb them all. So he comes with as the waitress remembers, a really nice high-end gift bag. What? There's not really anything high-end at Hot Topic, but a high-end gift bag and a belt. And not only was it just such a wonderful gift, it's what he said that went with it that made it, the icing on the cake. He said, so you can wear it around your waist or around your neck, wherever it fits.
Nice.
Yeah. Yeah. Which those words are, odd and rude when you're a server and there's an old man who's crotchety and brings you a gift. But knowing who and what he is now, yeah that's kind of shitty right there. That's kind of shitty.
Well, it's creepy.
So knowing what this main suspect, alleged Golden State Killer, Joseph James D'Angelo, did to so many neighborhoods in California, Northern California, Central Coast, and Southern California, knowing the reign of terror he had for so many years, you can imagine being a journalist in the late 70s when there's so much going on. And if you have a chance to watch Golden State Killer Main Suspect, this news reporter, imagine the late night version of Mary Tyler Moore. She has a bob haircut and is wearing just a super cool groovy 70s outfit and bending down, locking French doors. She puts out this fantastic warning for every neighborhood around Sacramento. Can you hit clip 3, producer Mark?
Guns were flying off from the shelves. Thousands of guns were sold at that time. Locks, you couldn't go into a hardware store and buy a lock. People were nailing their windows shut.
All you can do is take every possible precaution and then hope that he gets caught before he gets to you.
Thanks, lady. So the beginning was the amazing badass Carol Daly talking about everyone arming themselves. And I do not know the name of the reporter, but that clip, you just hope he gets caught before he gets to you.
It does look like young Mary Richards doing the report.
Does.
Yeah,
she does.
Yeah.
I was like, holy fuck shit. It was, and obviously it just is so, it's so amazing that they caught him. It's so amazing he's still alive. I don't know that he will ever come to trial before, he dies of natural causes or gets, shivved by, a cook. And I don't know. It's amazing he's still there. When you see the news clips, it looks like you're watching a historical drama. It's so, the cars are so old, the houses are so old. We were looking at someone, producer Mark and I watched this together, and we were looking at someone, and I was saying, it was Carol Daly. You were saying that she's more beautiful now, like in her 70s, and I was like, he's like, that hair, and I'm like, honey, she was like in her 20s.
No, I know she was in her 20s, and if you put your hand over the big giant thing on her head, you can see her face, and she's very pretty. She's very beautiful. Pretty young lady.
She's
but and actually the pose that they show where she's holding the gun like Angie Dickinson.
Yes.
Yeah, that's pretty badass.
Yeah, but and her hair was that was obviously a little bit later in her career. Her hair was down a little bit more and more like the Marlo Thomas, that
Yes,
girl, you know,
right.
curled at the ends. The clip where it is one of my favorite clips because, you know, I don't know how she got to do this because it is, someone had the foresight to put this beautiful, smart woman up there instead of a man telling people how to behave if you wake up with a flashlight in your eyes and a maniac whose only goal is to terrorize you. Really, it's never about the rapes, and it's definitely not about, you know, stealing an earring. It's about how can I assert my power over a person, a couple, a family, if you know, and she just is so clear-headed and forceful and says, if this happens to you, you must injure your attacker. And you know what she's saying? You fucking kill him. You have to go for the throat. You can't shoot him in the knee and hope he hobbles away. You have to kill this man because he will kill you. And he had, and as far as they knew, had not killed anyone yet. She was just amazing. And she's just amazing now. And she is, producer Mark is right. She is beautiful now, but she was beautiful then too, even with hair the size of, Mars.
It looks like an animal's living on her head.
A little bit. It looks like a very well-groomed, slightly bleached animal has rested on top of the beautiful Carol Daly's head.
Nice little blonde squirrel.
A blonde, not little. I would call it like a blonde raccoon.
Yeah, that's it.
Like it didn't have like stripes on its paws and like, you know, a bandit mask around its eyes. It's like an albino raccoon landed on Carol Daly's head, and she just put like a headband on and proceeded about her day.
Yeah, let the raccoon take a nap.
She tied the feet behind her head, so you couldn't see that it was an albino raccoon. But she's still. I'm sorry, but she's still.
And today,
stunning.
she's so, just the way she talks now, she's so clear-headed.
Yeah,
you can tell she's just a badass cop.
She's a badass.
She's a badass cop.
She is a badass. And speaking of badass cops, we may have coming up an amazing opportunity to have an interview with a badass female chief of police. And keep your fingers crossed, tipsters, because that would be like me touching the hem of Jesus's garment.
And that is what we call a tease.
That's a tease, yeah. Let's hope that happens, because I would just be, I'm not sure how I would make it. I'd try to make it without, you know, drooling and stammering, but
you'd be great.
I don't know. I appreciate that, but I don't know. So, knowing that Joseph James D'Angelo was thought of as a much younger man because of his, you know, physical acumen and skill and jumping over fences and hiding on roofs and doing all sorts of crazy ass shit, it is fascinating when you see the old frail man in a wheelchair for his first court appearance. And this would be one of my favorite clips because I get to hear my beloved future producer and detective Paul Holes giving a great description of the monster. Can you hit clip 4, producer Mark?
I saw just a shocked individual. He never thought that this day would come.
How did you react to seeing him in that wheelchair?
That was bullshit. The surveillance team had seen him, you know, for the most part of the week prior. They were reporting back that this guy, though 72 years old, was moving around like a 50-year-old guy. He's out there in the yard. He's wrenching on the cars in his garage, working on projects in his backyard. They're seeing him bombing down the freeway on the motorcycle at over 100 miles an hour.
And my beloved Detective Paul Holes said curse words, and I could not be more proud. I could not be more proud than to hear Detective Paul Holes curse. It just, I don't know, it warms my little, you know, black withered heart.
You're kind of blushing, aren't I? Can feel it from this other room.
That's because it's 110.
Oh, right.
It's not because of that. I don't blush at the term bullshit said by a 50-year-old man. I've just enjoyed hearing it. It's just so nice to know that, I'm in good company when I'm constantly screaming bullshit. It makes me feel, I'm not so alone. If Detective Paul Holes can say it, it's okay to say, right?
Well, yeah.
Thank you.
Although you say much more than just bullshit.
What the fuck are you talking about?
I don't know.
Okay, good. That's good. You just piped down in there, sunshine. So I loved the way they wrapped it up, and interviews with his coworkers were... Interviews with his neighbors, I felt, were more enlightening. Interviews with his coworkers were sad. And people who'd worked with him for decades. He spent 27 years at his final job as a mechanic for delivery trucks for Save Mart, I believe. And his previous supervisor said he was polite, great at his job. One of his coworkers is like, there's got to be two people, Joseph D'Angelo, the suspect, the main suspect, and Joe D'Angelo, the guy I worked with. And the one that disturbed me the most was Mr. Mangang, who was his once-a-week fishing buddy, who said, I don't believe he did it, and DNA has been wrong.
Oh, and you can see the guy's tortured, too. He's really grappling with it. He knows that that's not...
I didn't see that at all.
Really? You don't?
No.
Oh, man.
I think he's in such complete and utter denial. I didn't see him grappling with the thing. I saw him as a man who would never want to admit that his friend is a monster, couldn't imagine his friend as a monster. And if you say DNA has been known to be wrong, I would like Mr. Mangang to show me where, other than perhaps a misstep on a Maury Povich show where someone is not found out to be the baby daddy. Typically, paternity tests are the only time that there could be a problem with DNA. I don't know how, and let me just say this, sir. Your fishing buddy, I will not quote because I don't want to get it incorrect, but in the beautiful words of Detective Paul Holes, the Golden State Killer left his DNA up and down the fucking state of California. Now, he didn't say fucking, I did. But he left his DNA all over. One of my favorite questions as Detective Paul Holes was, retired Detective Paul Holes, was live tweeting during the Golden State Killer, main suspect, was, did he ever use condoms? And immediately Detective Holes was like, nope, no condoms ever. Left his DNA everywhere. And that's the truth, Mr. Mangang. And your fishing buddy could be, the best fishing buddy on earth. And it's just a good thing that you weren't a young woman alone at home or a young wife with your husband, because I don't know that your fishing buddy would be your fishing buddy anymore. So I feel bad for him, but I didn't see him grappling. I saw him staunch in his denial. It ain't just a river in Egypt, sir. He is the king of denial.
Maybe. I think, yeah, either way, what I got out of it, I just think he knows that it's baloney.
I love that you saw that in him. I did not. I didn't see a flicker.
Well, I agree that he's in denial. He doesn't want to admit it. There's no way. Right now, he just can't admit it.
So you think it's just subconscious?
Yes.
Okay, because I didn't even see that. I did not see a glimmer, a flicker of recognition. What I saw was, I am pulling down brute force and denial. I am building a wall, and you cannot breach it. That's what I saw. Yeah. But, that's 4 different eyes, 2 different people, and I'm glad you saw what you saw.
I think the most honest co-worker was the guy that kind of just said he was just such a great guy. And he said, I almost feel guilty that I was so nice to him. I mean, I think that guy has a realistic view of all of this. Because I think he clearly now knows because of the DNA. He knows that it's true. And it's like he's still amazed that it's true, but he acknowledged it. And he said, I feel guilty that I was so nice to him. So anyway.
Well, I feel like that this special wrapped up with a really important point, and we have some stuff to back up that final question. So if you could play clip 5, please, producer Mark.
The Golden State Killer was a criminal who could really only exist during a certain era. Now California authorities say using DNA, they have finally caught one of the most prolific and elusive criminals in U.S. history. But what other crimes might be uncovered? What more may we learn about the Golden State Killer?
And that's a great question, Stephanie Zosk, and things are coming out every day. New things are coming out every day. There are, I can't believe that they haven't tried to pin the Lindbergh baby on him. It's amazing the number of cases that are being tossed into the Joseph James DeAngelo ring. It's pretty widely known that he is at some point going to be charged with the murder of Claude Snelling. His daughter, Beth Snelling, was interviewed, and he that was the first time. I don't think he planned on murdering. That was the first time that he attempted to take someone out of their home, and he tried to take 16-year-old Beth Snelling out of her home. And she said after he was caught, she knew immediately it was him, even though it was, 43, 44 years later. And it would never be known that this person shot Beth Snelling's father as he attempted to. This was a beautiful piece of information. She was being taken out of her house by the suspect, and she heard a growl, and it was her father coming
I love
just
that detail.
roar, growling like the father bear that he is. And he was shot first in the shoulder. It spun him around, and then he was shot in the back and died in his home defending his daughter. And you want to talk a hero, and hearing that the hero growled before ending his own life in an effort to save his daughters. And the suspect threw her to the ground, hit her with the butt of the gun, and then kicked her. And it doesn't matter how dark it is. It doesn't matter how little of his face you got to see. I bet if she saw who she saw when she saw him 44 years later, she still could know that was the guy. And she said, I'm 100% sure. I get it. Eyewitness accounts can sometimes, not be as clear as we'd like them to be. But I bet when you go through something that awful and traumatic, I believe Beth Snelling, and I will for the rest of my life. So perhaps previous to even that murder are 2 young girls that may be tied to him. One, a person was convicted and died in prison, denying that he ever did this to anyone. And now that person has died in prison, they are finding a connection to another murder. These 2 murders could be connected, and these 2 murders could also be attributed to Joseph James DeAngelo. In November of 1974, Jennifer Armour, 15-year-old girl, left her house on Linwood Street and in Tulare and headed to the annual Cowhide game. It's this historic football matchup between these arch rivals, Mount Whitney and Redwood, these 2 high schools. And she never made it to the game. Witnesses saw her on DeMary Street near Tulare Avenue, and her mother reported her missing the next morning. Her body was found 9 days later in a canal south of Wood Lake, and her case, Jennifer Armour's case, has been unsolved since November of 1974. It's being handled by a cold case detective now, and he's also working on 200 other unsolved homicides, but he's really hoping that something will tie this plus the next one that other people have said Joseph James DeAngelo should have been in trouble for then, but what are you going to do? Hindsight's 2020. So even before Joseph James DeAngelo was arrested, detectives thought that the Visalia ransacker was linked to Jennifer Armour's case. And no one knew who the Visalia ransacker was, but he was in the area. And as soon as they found out that the person arrested, who was the East Area Rapist, Original Night Stalker, Golden State Killer, and Visalia ransacker, was a police officer, the cold case detectives were like, oh no, that's the guy. That's the guy. There was a big red flag that was thrown for them because they had originally thought the Visalia ransacker was in way too close a proximity to the area where Jennifer Armour, would have been walking and where she was found. It's horrifying to think that he was an Exeter police officer at that time. And because it was 9 days later and she was in a canal, there's just not a lot of physical evidence. But it's also difficult to tell what happened to her. This could have been one of his first kills because she died of drowning. She wasn't dead when he put her in the canal.
I had not heard this at all.
Yeah, he put her in the canal and she wasn't dead yet. But obviously
for God's sake,
was probably unconscious and couldn't get out. So the other case that they're now saying tied to Jennifer Armour is the one that a lot of people have brought up, wondering if this was also the work of Joseph James DeAngelo, and that's 14-year-old Donna Richmond, who went missing in December of 1975. So roughly 11 months after Jennifer Armour, Donna Richmond was kidnapped and killed, and she was kidnapped from Exeter. She was found in an orange grove. So these two murders would have been a different MO. Girls snatched, either walking down the street or, in public, as opposed to breaking in. He may have been working on his MO. So we know Beth Snelling was the first one that he tried to remove from a house. And he had stalked her for quite a long time. She had seen him outside her window. Her father had seen someone in the yard and gone outside and chased him and didn't catch him. And so he was, I think, trying to figure out, how do I get them? How do I get my prey? And that didn't go well. And he ended up killing Claude Snelling on his attempt to remove Beth Snelling from the house. And that's why I believe he came up with I'll tie them, I'll bind them, I'll, rummage through the house. I'll make sure that if there's more than one, there's a security system to alert me, whether it's dishes on their back or perfume bottles on the door handle. I'll figure out a way so that they can't surprise me and I have control of them. He could have, it seems, odd that one would be in a canal and one would be in an orange grove. But if you don't know what you're doing, if this is the first time you're doing this, you may make mistakes and you may just luck out.
Right. I mean, this is before this could be his first kills. I mean, it could be he's just learning how to do it.
Right.
I really hadn't heard anything about these.
Well, Oscar Clifton was arrested for Donna Richmond's murder. He denied. He died in prison in 2013, and he was serving a life sentence. And after he's dead, of course, detectives are saying, you know what? We think there's a connection. And we don't think Oscar Clifton killed Jennifer Armour.
For God. Oh, my God. Oh, you hate hearing that.
Mm-hmm. Both girls were blonde and blue-eyed, and both of their bodies were discovered south of Woodlake and north of Exeter, just, 11 months apart.
It sure sounds fishy.
Yeah. So the cold case detective who's handling Jennifer Armour's cold case said we're in constant contact with the folks in Sacramento, and we've sent a synopsis of this case for their review. So when Stephanie Zosk asks at the end of Golden State Killer main suspect, what else could he have done? What more can we learn about the Golden State Killer? It just feels like we unfortunately might just be getting started. So I know there'll be more, and it's going to be awful, and we'll get through it together. And more cowbell.
And remember, if you've got a tip for Melissa, give us a call at 832-TIPSTER. That's 832-847-7837. Or send an email to jttipsters@gmail.com.